live. Okay, hello everybody. Okay, we're live. Oh my gosh, this is Taco Tuesday. I'm super duper excited. I am your host, Linda West. I've had this as a dream of mine for over a year. How often have you had a dream of something that it was, you had this dream like you just didn't know how to take it, the action that you needed to take to do it? Well, finally, I met an amazing producer named Stephen Healey, who is producing our show. And Stephen is with BeLive.tv, Live Video Hub. Go check him out if you're looking for a producer to produce your show. But so what happened was I met Stephen and I was like, oh my gosh, you're a producer? Will you produce my show? And he said, yes. So I was like, oh no, now we have to put everything into action. So I had this idea that I wanted to do Taco Tuesday and have co-hosts join me on the show. And what better way to find co-hosts than to have you vote for who you want to be my co-host? So kind of like American Idol-ish, it's like inspired by American Idol, that what'll happen is every single week for the next 4 weeks, I will be interviewing people during round one. So for this first half hour of the show, I'm going to interview 2 people, and then the next half hour, I'll have 2 other people. And then you guys will, at the end of the show, you will vote for your favorite. And that's what Taco Tuesday. So my name is Linda West. My company is called Living Live. This show is presented by Living Live, produced by Stephen Healey of BeLive.tv, Live Video Hub, and sponsored in part by Finish It Fast, taking procrastinators and turning them into actionators. So with that, I want to introduce to you guys our 2 auditioneers. Now, I know that's not a word, but it's a word that I came up with. I thought it was kind of fun. So instead of saying contestants, it's kind of a little boring there. So we have our auditioneers coming up on the screen. We have Clara and we have Rohit coming up. And I'm looking down a little bit because I have my computer down here, so just so you guys know. Hello, Clara and
Hi.
Rohit.
Am I on too? Hey.
Yes, you're on too. There you are. Okay, you guys. So if you have questions for our auditioneers as we go, please put them in the comments below, and I want to ask them those questions. So we'll get to as many questions as we possibly can while we're live. If we're not able to answer those questions while we're live, then they'll come back and answer those questions later on the replay. Again, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and put in the comments, #replay, and then you will vote for your favorite contestant. You'll get to vote for the first 2 here, and then you'll also vote for the next 2 in the next segment, which is starting in a half hour. And those polls will open right after the show is done. So make sure you go and make your vote, okay? So first, welcome to the very, very first round of Taco Tuesday, you guys. I'm so excited to have you, Clara and Rohit. Yay! A lot of fun. So let's do this. First, I want you guys to introduce yourselves to our audience. So we'll start with Clara. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I am Clara Alden. I'm actually a born medium and an energy healer. I started out learning that I was a born medium probably when I was about 4 or 5. My grandfather came to me and at that age terrified me, didn't know what was happening. Then I just kind of learned as I went along how to handle it. Luckily, my family, I have a tree of healers and mediums in my family, so it kind of helped me. I didn't learn that I was an energy healer until much later. I started to learn. I had some difficulties in my life, had some reoccurring bad relationships, which were very disturbing, and I actually learned to control myself and make myself feel better by doing energy healing, which I didn't know that's what I was doing. So that kind of helped me along.
That's so cool. And so we'll touch on that in a little bit. But thank you so much for introducing yourself. That's an amazing story. 4 or 5. I ran away when I was 5, so that's a totally different story. So Rohit, why don't you go ahead and introduce, let us know who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Rohit, and you actually say it just like that. Hit. Nothing else. Yeah, you hit a ball. Yeah. So I work presently as a spiritual counselor. It's like I studied spiritual psychotherapy and past life regression, clinical hypnotherapy, all that stuff, and coaching. And I base it on spirituality because I find that has a much greater effect in working with people. But where my passion, well, the extended passion lies, where I'm heading in, is actually I've started my own YouTube channel, and I'm putting out videos on the topics that I'm just really absolutely crazy about. And my most of that is based on my book, Loving Soulfully, which is poetic prose. It's just incredibly beautiful. I think you'll enjoy reading that. Based on that, I've created an entire webinar series, which you'll find using my name on YouTube. And you'll also find lots of stuff about me on my website of the same name. To go back further would be to tell you how I sort of started my journey, and it all began really with a bunch of questions. So I think one of the reasons I think talk shows like this mean so much to me is because I hope people here will ask questions. I loved asking questions. That's been ever since I was 13 years old. I wanted to know, why am I here? What's this life? What's going on out here? I wanted to figure it out, right? So I'm a very curious person with a very vibrant mind. And so if you have other people on, I'll be asking them questions, and I want to know more. I'm always like, tell me more about that.
That's awesome.
And so,
I love
yeah,
that
that's led me
because
here.
I've been told that I was nosy, but what I realized is actually I'm just inquisitive, you know?
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions that I want answered, and so I think that's what makes interviewing a lot of fun for me, because I have all these questions. And so awesome. Thank you guys so much for introducing yourselves. And we will post how they can reach you in the description up above, as well as down in the comments. So we'll have links out to all of your social media, your websites, and you have a webinar, go ahead and we'll get that links, and we'll post those all above. And so let me see, the next question I have for you guys is, what kind of topics will you want us to bring up? So first of all, before I say that, before I ask the question, here's how the program is going to run, you guys, is I am asking you as the audience to vote on who you think would be the best two co-hosts to have on the show that have the topics that are interesting to you, and then also the people that you think have the best synergy with me. So I'm going to ask all the contestants what topics they want to cover, so that way you can base your voting on what topics they want to cover. So go ahead, and Rohit, why don't you let us know what kind of topics you want to cover on the talk show?
Well, the topics that I'm most comfortable with or love to talk about are things that involve personal growth, spirituality, and relationships. So I think that's, if I had to create a focus for the show, that's where I'd love to see us go. Those are the topics that I think I can contribute to, and I have lots of I keep wanting to add to my own database of understanding from the people who will be participating here. So that would be my focus.
Awesome. And then Clara?
Yeah, just like Rohit, I'm really into that as well. I do like to get into what makes people tick. I'm a learner and teacher at heart. I will always continue to learn. So I want to know as well different aspects of a person, what makes them do the things that they do. I have a person that I'm going to be interviewing for my own show that I thought would be wonderful, but in a different way. Like I have Andrea Perron. She was the actual daughter of the home that they had in The Conjuring. She was the inspired family of that show. She's actually writing a book right now, and I'm going to have her on my show. But my question to her, what I would like to know on this show, would be what made you who you are because of what you did. What from your experience, what has this changed your life in a different way than where you would originally have been if these things did not happen to you? So that's what I'm interested in.
No, I love that. I think we all kind of like to tap into that, right, from people. Right. So that's awesome. Now, that was a great segue to my next question, is if you are voted, one of the co-hosts on the show, who are some of the people that you can bring to the show that will be, interesting people that, the audience will want to listen to, either if you have names or maybe titles of what they do or what have you, who are the people that you would bring to the show? So go ahead and Clara, you're first on that.
definitely people that inspire. I mean, that's what the show's about, right? We
Right.
inspire, have some fun with it. So that's what I want. I want to have somebody that comes in here and lets me know and lets the viewers know exactly what inspires them and has them be able to inspire. If something fits their soul, if it connects with them, that's what I want to see. I want to see that connection.
Awesome. And then Rohit?
Well, I like people who have a unique way of looking at things. I like people, I like to bring on people who have a perspective that is unusual. There's a lot of people I find in today's time just sort of repeating the same thing again and again.
Mm.
Everybody's kind of quoting everybody else and reading the latest books and then just rattling off stuff from there. I like people who have a mind of their own. And so I would be looking out for that. I do know some people like that already who I'd like to bring on the show. People who I love sitting and talking to, and I'd love to share what they have to say with the rest of the world, because those conversations that we have one-on-one are just so amazing, inspiring, and fulfilling that I really want the whole world to hear that kind of stuff. So yes, originality, uniqueness, people with a mind of their own, people who are willing to look through the norm and the established thinking and go to the next level. That's what I'd
I
like
love
to do.
that. I love that. So if you want to drop some names, you're welcome to do that. So we can tag them. In the comments, they'll see that. Hey, he gave me a shout out on the show.
One of
So,
them is my dear friend Martin Lopez, and I love his
Martine.
curiosity theory, who you know as well.
Yeah.
The other are I know a couple of people who, one of them, Sean Roop, who's a really beautiful Tantra teacher. The other is a dear friend of mine, Aisha, who's a psychologist, and her partner, or husband actually, Tahir, who's a psychiatrist. And both of them are extremely talented in their own unique ways, sort of bringing a spiritual edge to psychology as well as to psychiatry. So there's just a lot of people like that I come across that I'd love to bring on. I don't want to take up the whole show with that, but
Right. And then what about you, Claire? Do you have any names you want to drop out there?
I'm only thinking one right this minute because, there's going to be a lot of people that we can connect with. I think specifically, her name is Cheryl Hart. She's an intuitive artist. Beautiful paintings that she connects with intuitively to you. So if you're feeling, down, her art is so inspiring and it grabs you. I think that would be awesome to have her on the show.
You know what's cool about that is I realize that, I'm not an artist, but as I look at different pieces of art, like right behind me, there's this peacock, right? When I look at this peacock, I see the colors and the vibrancy of it, and it just makes me smile. And there's some art that just has that. It's very emotional. It draws emotional attention. And for me, I'm noticing as I'm getting older and I'm getting hopefully wiser, I'm noticing that I'm more attracted to the like really, really bright colors, it's kind of interesting. So let's touch on a little bit about, it sounds like both of you are into spirituality, and I'll share with the audience that the rest of the contestants, some of them are and some of them aren't. So it's going to be interesting to see, who we bring up on the screen. So just so you know, the show is not going to be only about spirituality, but will be about other topics as well. So there may be topics that we talk about that are happening in the real world, but we will stay away from the religious aspect or the political aspect about it. It'll be more about like our own thoughts and feelings about things like that. So I want to welcome you guys to the show. We have Kate, Carringer, Ashraf, and Barb there. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you have any questions for our potential co-hosts, go ahead and put the questions down in the comments below, whether you're live or whether you're watching the replay. And, Taco Tuesday. So let's talk about, why don't we talk about, I was going to talk about something that's political. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Well, let's see, what's your take on voting? So not the political aspect of it, but just about like people getting out there and voting. What do you guys think about that? Just one of you start talking.
I think it's our civic duty to get out there and vote. It doesn't matter what political party you're at. It's something that you need to actually do. For specifically for women, I mean, it's been a time when we weren't able to vote at all. We should get out there and at least exercise that vote and get ourselves, whatever we're thinking, get it on paper.
That's a good
So I
point.
come across a lot of people who call themselves spiritual and won't vote. And I think it's really a shame because they want to keep distant from all the mucky, messy stuff and just be in their blissful, pure light. And I really challenge all of that stuff. And I say, look, we live in this world and we've got to learn to deal with this world. It's not about escaping the world. It's about being here, fully present, engaged. And it's important for us to participate in the things. And not that voting is a perfect process, not that any party is perfect. I completely agree that each one of them has its flaws. And, if you're waiting for that ideal party to come, maybe you should run for president or for whatever else it is, go offer it out there. But until such time as you stand up and, go there and be the person on the front line, choose the best bet from whatever you got, but participate in the world. It's important. I just find too many people copping out of the whole process, and it doesn't quite work like that. We're letting things to not engage is to allow things to steamroll out of control and go into chaos. That's not good either.
Yeah, that's so true. And, I must admit that I've spent many, many years not voting because I didn't know what the issues were about, and I didn't really realize like how my vote counted. And a lot of times, maybe it doesn't really count, but it counts for you, like to know that you actually went out there and voted and you did take part in it. And so, yeah, get out there and vote. So this is not a political show, of course, but let's talk again. I want to talk about how you guys both discovered, what your passions and purposes are. So, Clara, you talked about being 4 years old. At that age, we don't know we're different than others, right? So when did you discover that you were a little bit different? And then when you did discover that, did you have any adverse reactions to it? Did you feel different, like weird, or share with us what that was like for you?
Right. So when this happened at 4, my grandfather actually came to me. I went to bed. He had just passed away. And so I heard him, I saw him, I totally freaked out. I ran downstairs, and my mom kind of goes, it's your grandfather, he's here with you and he's the same person as when he was here on earth. He's not going to hurt you. And she sent me to bed, so that kind of started me in my journey. I was always fearful growing up about it. But the more I learned, the more and I explored, then I realized what it's about. My energy healing, though, was a total different situation. Mm-hmm. Instead of being rebellious when I was a teenager for not wanting to have this gift that I had because I wanted to be normal, as I grew older and I got into bad relationships that I actually had 3. It was a recycling bad relationship, both physically and mentally. It actually brought out that energy healing because, when you get into that cycle where you can't get out of it and you don't even know sometimes that you're in it, it's hard. So it was something that happened to me by accident. I started realizing that I could comfort myself, that I could heal myself. And then I learned more, just like Rohit just did as well. You learned and you explored and you checked things out. That's what I did. That's how I discovered how to do the things I did and find out new ways that my energy healing was actually helping myself and how I could help other people as well. So that's where it came in.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. And what about you, Rohit? How did you know, or when did you discover that, this is what you're supposed to be doing? Because I remember when I interviewed you as an event that we did called Thrive Talks, where Martine Lopez and I were co-hosting, and I interviewed you, and I was just listening to you, I felt like I was in a different world. I mean, because the things you were talking about were things I had never heard about, and it was so cool, and just listening to you. So how did you discover that, this was you, and this is where you need to spend your energy?
Well, it started with a search that began when I was 13 years old. It's when I realized that people couldn't answer my questions. And so I began reading, and that didn't answer my questions. And then I went on to becoming a monk, and I thought I'd found the answers. And then I realized I still hadn't found the answers. So my life has really been I see it as a comedy of errors, but some people see it as a series of blunders.
Yeah.
But it's through all of that that I've realized that there is no one set system for anyone. We have to be awake, alert, and really looking. So I've learned really organically through my trials and errors and omissions and things that haven't worked and things that have worked. I've developed systems around that, and that's why I respect people and value people who really like to think outside the box. I think that brings in originality that's much needed. That's what I've been doing all along, in my books, in my writing, in everything. I find that it's about observing things. So to me, it's just, and I like to tear up everything that I know and believe about myself and come back to zero. So when I sit with someone, it's like, I don't know anything. Tell me. I'm empty. I'm a blank canvas. Show me what your world looks like. Show me how your process works. How do you think? How did you arrive at what you arrived at? That's what I mean by curiosity. It's this place. I believe in this whole thing that Socrates once said. He says, to know that you do not know is the greatest step to knowledge. And that's been sort of the guiding principle that I've used, to be able to stay empty. And I find that by I have views, sure, and I'll speak them with great passion. And I'll talk to you as if I think I know what I'm talking about. And for the moment, I do. But I'm open to changing that in the next moment. So I'm always looking at, present it, let it go, and then come back to zero and open, and what can I learn from you now? So it's this dance that is beautiful for me.
I think that's awesome, because it's important for us to realize that it's okay to change. And so on both of you, it's interesting because Clara was 4, you were 13. I was 51. I was 51 when I started asking those questions. And so what I'd love to share with people is that you're never too old to start your life, like to start changing and evolving and becoming a new person. Because my hope for me is that, and this is what I see of myself, is to continue evolving throughout my time until I get to the end of my life. So you guys have just had more time to do that than I have, right? So at 51 is when I started, but for those who might be saying, that's a bunch of bull what they're talking about, which that was me. That was me for so many years. I didn't know that life could be happy. I didn't know that you could actually get in tune with who you are and become a different person. I didn't know all that stuff. But now I see it, I'm living it, and I totally understand it. So for those of you who might be saying, you guys this is just ridiculous. I urge you to just start to look within yourself, and maybe becoming a monk is the way to go. I don't know.
You know what I found too is that out of adversity comes your greatest possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
You really find yourself when you go through certain things that you can grab a hold on and be inspired, or to inspire others.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it is like you mentioned something, Rohit, about blunders and stuff. And I came up with an acronym for the word fail. And I came up with effing up always inspires learning.
Yeah.
It's true.
Effing is learning. No, effing up is learning.
Well, you have an opportunity, right? Anytime you have those, those blunders are what help you to, as long as you look at them.
Blunders are blenders.
There we go. I love it. But the blenders are good because they help you to learn and grow.
Yeah, they'll help you learn and grow. They also help you to empathize with others. They help you to learn that. So a lot of folks will think, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about. No, I don't really know what I'm talking about. Please understand. I don't want
Don't get me wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. You don't realize the power of that. There's such a lot of power, because then if I don't know, I'm fascinated by you. I'm fascinated by each person. Each one's got a story. Each one's got something incredible that they've been through. And I mean, I do past life regression as part of my work as well. And in that, I get to hear not only the stories of their present lifetime, but their past lives too. So it's really, I love stories. I love each person's story. That's why I think a show like this is amazing, where we get to talk to people and bring out their, incredible journeys and stories and learnings and all the stuff that they've gone through in life. So.
Yes, exactly. Clara, you want to say something? I can feel it.
No, I'm agreeing 100% with them. It's part of who we are, is to explore and to inspire everyone. So that's awesome.
I love just like the thought of thinking when I go into conversations, I had never even like thought about it this way, like going in as that blank canvas. I know that I'm an inquisitive person already, but what if I actually went into a conversation saying, you know what, I'm like in my mind, I'm going to clear all my thoughts of any judgment or any perceived ideas that I have, and I'm going to go into this conversation 100% blank, and I'm going to let them feel it in, and then discover who they are without me having any preconceived judgments. Like I think that'd be awesome. I got to make a note of that.
We can paint
recorded.
together. You can paint something and I can paint something, and we can paint something together, and we can co-create it like that.
I'm not very good at painting. I'm not even good with stick figures, so that wouldn't work for me.
Oh, me neither. I'm not alone. Okay.
That's perfect. It can be scribbles. It can be just, the colors being thrown.
Well, that's the beauty of art, right? Because I used to, I remember when I was a kid, I'd get in trouble for coloring outside of the lines. And now all I do is color outside of the lines. And it's like, it's actually a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah. So let me ask you guys, where do you see the show going? Like, because I have this whole vision, but let me start, at least we have like 6 minutes left. So I'm going to start with Clara and just ask you, like, what would you like, if you ended up being one of the co-hosts, what would you like to see the show doing, and how we're going to impact people's lives?
Oh, definitely interviewing these extraordinary people with extraordinary gifts, topics, so that we can bring it to everyone and they can take what they want and explore on their own. I think that would be awesome.
Cool. I love that. Rohit?
I've had a thought that's been with me for a long time, and that's finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. It's something I try to do with the photographs I took for my book, Loving Soulfully. I try to find ordinary things and find beauty within them. And I found that with people as well. I found that if I paused and I stopped with even ordinary people, I could find incredible wisdom within their learning. So I'm not, we could mix it up and have both kinds, the ordinary and the extraordinary. I think if people have become aware of the beauty of their story and have become aware, so some people live as victims of their story, and some have begun to realize the power of their story. And if I think those quote unquote ordinary people that maybe haven't climbed Mount Kilimanjaro or haven't done some extraordinary feat like that, but have overcome an obstacle of some kind in their life, I think there's great value in that, as well as those who have done those extraordinary feats as well. I remember the book Chicken Super for the Soul was written, was really all ordinary people, but with extraordinary stories, So I think we can, I would like to sort of mix it up like that, so that we recognize, or we bring power back to every individual to realize that, hey, my life, my story has meaning, has purpose, can contribute, and is of value to others. And I'd love to bring that message across.
I love that. Awesome. So let's see, we have just a couple minutes left. So I want you guys to let people know where they can find you, and then give your final, I'm going to say plea for vote for me, you like American Idol, you're like, vote number one, whatever. So go ahead. So the polls will open in 30 minutes, and you can vote at talkotuesday.tv. And I'm going to ask Stephen, our producer, to put that up on the screen really quick. So Clara, why don't you your final words for, vote for me, I want it.
It's me. Okay, so what I actually have two shows, or one show specifically right now. It's called Earth Angel Journeys, and you can catch that on earthangeljourneys.tv. It's a Facebook show that I do on Thursdays at 7 o'clock. That is a tape show, interviews with wonderful people who I believe that are angels on earth that will help us. And then I also have one coming up that's starting in January that is called Third Eye Challenge TV. And what that's going to do is give people an idea. Every single week they're going to have a challenge and how to build their abilities, their natural abilities, which we all have. And that's going to help them as well. So that's pretty cool. You can catch me either one. So vote for me. Yay.
Okay, cool. And then Rohit.
I just want to offer everyone here a gift of my book, Loving Soulfully. I put up the color edition of the book on my website. The website is my name, www.rohitjuneja.com. Please just write it down from from what you're seeing above my name. Just go there and sign in. It's supposed to take you to the webinar series, but that's over for now. But you'll still get a free copy of the book. It's just on there right now, and you'll love reading that. I'm sure a lot of people have, and if you like what you're reading in there, you can go to my YouTube channel and you'll see how I've been talking about it and explaining various things about relationships and the demise of romantic love and the birthing of a whole new love paradigm that I'm seeing coming forth now. So loving soul.
That was kind of like a teaser, wasn't it? See a whole new paradigm shift. Well, I want to thank you too for being here for the first round of Taco Tuesday. It looks like Rohit froze a little bit there. So what I'm going to ask then is now we're going to send you guys down to the lobby, and then we're going to bring the next two people up. And good luck. I'm voting for you both.
Thank you. Take care.
I'm just going to vote for everybody. So you guys go to tacotuesday.tv, and that's where you can place your voting. So you guys will see you soon. Okay, I'm not sure where they are, so I'm just going to keep talking as if the show is going. Stephen, can you come up on the screen and help me out a little bit here, because I can't see anything going on right now.
I can see.
I see Cheryl coming up. Never mind, I see Cheryl and
Linda.
Cheryl and Linda. There we go. Okay, cool. Well, so you guys, if you can see Stephen, he was just there on the screen there. That is Stephen Healey, and he is the producer of our show, Taco Tuesday. And Taco Tuesday is presented by Living Live. And let me know if you guys can hear me, Linda and Cheryl.
I hear you, Linda.
Okay, I'm not able to hear them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disappear for a minute. And you guys, it's your show. So what I'm going to have you do is introduce yourselves. Linda, go ahead and introduce yourself first. Tell us who you are and what you do. And then Cheryl, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do. And then I will hopefully be back really, really soon.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Linda. How are you? Good to meet you.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Nice to meet you as well. This is exciting.
It is. It's so much fun. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm Linda Summers, and I am a life coach, a speaker, an author, and also radio TV show host. And yeah, I'm just very passionate about life, and that's who I am.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you, Linda.
Yes,
Yay.
I can.
Okay, good. I can hear you guys too.
Yeah.
So.
Good. Yay.
Awesome.
Okay, so I heard Linda introduced herself. So Cheryl, go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know what you do.
Hi, everyone. I am Cheryl Piper, and I am a mindset and personal development coach, speaker, web show host, and producer. I have 2 different shows I do each week, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then another show I co-host with someone. So that's me. I believe in relationships, and relationships make the world go round.
Boy, do they. That's really important, right? Let's just, before we go to the next questions, let's talk about relationships really quick and just get your guys' take on relationships. And how do you find yourself building the best relationships? So the ones that are like the really, really deep relationships. So why don't you just go get started?
Well, I'll go ahead since I kind of brought relationships up, if that's okay with you, Linda.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It's really about, being who you are and just connecting with people and really just reaching out. That's what I've found. I mean, especially with this online community, it's really putting yourself out there and just saying hi. I mean, I did to Clara last night. Clara, who was just on the show a little bit ago.
Right.
I said, hey, Clara, we're both on the show tomorrow, and I'd really like to chat with you later on in the week because I think we have a lot of things in common. And you just reach out, and most people want to connect. Most people are friendly and want to connect.
So true. So Linda, what's your thought about relationships? Then I have another question on that.
I agree. I'm all about relationships because we're always in constant relationship with something or someone. And first and foremost, connection with ourselves and relationship with ourselves. Because if we don't have a relationship with ourselves, we can't really have a relationship with life, with food, with the earth, with God, wherever, a relationship outside our children, our loved ones, our business partners. So, and I feel the way to do that is first of all, self-love. And when you have that and you're just showing up and being just you, then there's that energy and that you can connect with other people just by being you. So I think relationships are very important. Absolutely.
And both of you mentioned, just in different ways, authenticity, right? Being authentic.
Yes.
So what do you think about, or what do you say to somebody who's like, well, I'm not really sure how to be myself? That was something I went through. And so how would you recommend that they learn who they are so that they can actually be who they are?
You want to go first, Cheryl, or I can go?
Go ahead. That's
Linda.
fine, Linda.
I'll go for it. I believe that it's going back to when we were a child and really seeing the things that we loved, right? And really kind of feeling, and it's going within yourself and finding out what makes you tick, like what makes Linda tick. What are the things that I really love doing and that I love, that I just really love about myself? And I think you start to find those aspects within yourself to be able to bring that forth. And there's things that we think, well, gosh, what if I do that? And that looks like, I'm showing off or whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it really isn't, because it's just really who we are and honoring that space of really who you are. So I think it really goes back to who you were when you were a child. What are the things that you like doing and what lights you up, So I think that's one way to tap into yourself. Absolutely.
Awesome. Cheryl.
Oh, that's beautiful, Linda. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just come right behind that and say I absolutely agree. Finding and going inside, finding those things that we love. Also, it's that self-talk. So many times we have that self-talk going on in our mind. And when we can shift that into the positive versus the negative, then we're going to start to hear that voice inside of us of who we really are, because we're in there. It's sometimes it's all that chatter that's happening that's blocking us from coming out. And then when we remove that self-talk, all of a sudden, boom, there we are. And, we're just, we're like you were saying, Linda, it comes back to what we loved when we were a child, what we connect to. We can find all those things or see all those things again when we shift around that mindset and remove that negative self-talk.
Yes.
So true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know for me, I was a people pleaser my whole life. And, because of my childhood, I grew up in an alcoholic, volatile household. And so it was always like, keep the peace, keep the peace, keep the peace. And so keep the peace as a child turned into keep the peace as an adult. And so I was keeping the peace so much that I didn't know who I was, because I always just needed to make sure that everything was, okay. And so as I got older, at age 51, I hired a life coach and I started to discover who I am. And boy, was that enlightening, because I was not living my life as the person I really, truly am, because I didn't know who I was. So, that authenticity started to shine when I became about, between 51 and 52 after working with that life coach. So I'm going to ask you, Cheryl, I'm going to ask both of you guys, but Cheryl first, what kind of topics, so if you end up being one of the co-hosts that's selected for the show, what kind of topics are we going to talk about? What kind of topics do you want to bring to the table?
Well, first of all, as I said, I love talking about relationships and what that means. Anything to inspire, bringing that wellness, that wholeness of wellness into our life. And so talking about those type of subjects, anything that has to do with personal growth, I'm very big on talking about the neuroscience, as I was just talking about mindset, and I bring that into my shows a lot. But one thing I talk about on probably almost every show is the heart and the opening of the energy of the heart and the possibilities that are there. So bringing in that beautiful energy to the show.
Awesome. And Linda?
I agree. I think relationships is important. And I also in how can we, to our greatness, how become that, right? Finding out who we are. And so I think these would be great topics just for people to be able to show up as themselves, get rid of fear. How do we get rid of worry? So just the normal thing constantly, we deal with in success. So I think there's a range of things. It's unlimited. It feels like that we could aspects to talk about. And I think basically to be able to help and impact people to where they can come from a place of being authentic, being themselves, be in relationship with themselves, to where they can live the life that they want to live. And I think bringing in people and topics that can portray that would be amazing. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about the show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really so the mantra of the show is fun, uplifting, and positive. Fun, uplifting, and positive. So bringing all of those elements into it in a positive way. I was noticing a lot of the talk shows. There's just a lot of disagreeing and arguing, which it has its place, but I didn't want my show to be about that. I wanted my show to be about just exactly what you guys are talking about. Inspiring others, we're uplifting them, we're motivating. Hopefully we're saying some things that are going to motivate them and to take action on the things that they're not doing. Maybe it's due to fear, maybe it's due to just not knowing how to do something. And so hopefully we'll be providing that inspiration that they'll go ahead and do it. So I want to thank you guys so much for being part of this journey. So the next question goes to Linda first, and that is, what kinds of people, or if you have actual names of people, will you be inviting to join us as guests on the show?
The kinds of people that I would bring on the show are people who have information that can actually impact our lives and impact the world. And I came up with a couple. There's probably many people, but the few names that came up for me was one, Alan Hardman. He apprenticed with Miguel Ruiz, who did the 4 Agreements. And he's all about bringing joy and freedom into people's lives. And the second person is Alan Hardman, which I've actually interviewed both of these amazing men, and they're just profound. And Alan Hardman he's the author of Humans in Training. And that itself is like, we all have the tools and we have the know-how within us. It's just a matter of learning how to use those tools, like use what's within us to be able to create a different life. And so he's an amazing person too. And Jeannie Skartsaris, I can't pronounce her. I'm not very good at pronouncing her name, so I apologize first for your name. But she's also an author, and she's authored books on just basically her life and how we can, our imagination in our life and how we want to see life differently. So she's an author of 3 different books, and she's really amazing too. So yeah, but basically really people that can really bring in aspects that can show us how we can change ourselves to be able to change the world.
Awesome. Thank you. Then Cheryl.
You're welcome.
Well, absolutely. I agree with what you're saying, Linda, because bringing people on that share that vision and want to help the world is so important. And I'm just thinking of, just a few different people that, I've interviewed that, have been some fun, but also really interesting information. A few weeks ago, I interviewed Cynthia Clark. She lives in Aspen, Colorado, and she has a new website that she's worked with a computer programmer to create an algorithm that actually it's like a dating site that matches you to your soulmate. I mean, how cool is that? It was like the most interesting conversation, and it's getting ready to launch soon, but it's all about you use your hand and it matches you up to your soulmate, and also matches you up to your not soulmate. And I just thought, wow, that was, yeah, like stay away from that. But I also have a friend, Dr. Stephen Bowie. He launches products worldwide. He is all about wellness and health. He's a podiatrist, and he really, I don't know, we launched one of his products worldwide on my show a few months ago, and it was all about the using the proper products for exercise. If you're a runner, if you're someone who, maybe, you need calf muscle strength and all of these things. It was so interesting. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I'm doing a worldwide launch on my show. So having someone who is very inventive like that and launching products that are really designed to bring wellness to the world. And my friend Jackie Phillips, she's a great one. She's a celebrity makeup artist. She is an author of a book called Reset that just came out last month. And she's a lot of fun. Talking about her story and just kind of traveling around and how she became a makeup artist, and then talking about her book Reset, which is once again about what we're discussing. Sometimes you just get the rug pulled out from under you and you got to reset.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about that. You're resetting your life. Have you had instances in your lives where you have reset? And if so, at what point did you recognize that you needed to change something? So we'll start with you, Cheryl.
Well, yes. Thank you so much, Linda. I did a show on this a few weeks ago on October the 10th. It was my 10-year anniversary from the day I had the rug pulled out from under me. And, just that process. And I actually have developed a program on it that I talk about. I'm getting ready to write my book on it. It's called Journey to Forgiveness. And just the amazing journey of having God just bring you down to your knees. And then you gotta let go of everything. And just like I said, you gotta reset. You've got to just surrender and realize, hey, there's something else here for me to learn. And moving through what that process was, and those choices that we have in those situations. Because there were days I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't even get out of bed. I not only lost my marriage, my best friend. 2 months later, it was 2009, the beginning of 2009, I was called into the HR director's office and downsized. It was a wham, and really brought me down to my knees. And, I moved through to complete and full forgiveness. And this was such a magical journey. And I really enjoy sharing that with people, to let them know that when you are in those situations, there are ways to move through and step into true forgiveness, which shows you the lesson and what this brought to you. And then you're able to turn that into wisdom and share it with someone else and help them along the way.
So let's say somebody's going through a situation like that right now, where they're feeling like it just keeps coming at me. Oh my God, why me? Why me? Why me? And they can't see that there is forgiveness while they're in the situation. Let's say, for example. So what do you say to them today to help them realize that it's not going to be like that forever?
One of the things that I like to start with in that situation is, because when we're so focused in that negative area, like what you were describing, Linda, why me, and why did this happen? And I don't understand. And if I only knew, I get them to think about gratitude. Because when we can step into a state of gratitude, and we can all find something to be grateful for, no matter where we are at what moment in our life. And when we can start to focus in on gratitude, it shifts the energy. You can feel your energy just shift. And that little shift is enough to pull you into possibilities. It's not going to be the fix it. It's the beginning of it.
That's awesome. So just realize that you just need to change, just change your thoughts. And it's hard to do sometimes when you're in the muck, but that is something that has to happen in order for you to come out of it eventually. And maybe things will start to turn around for you faster if you do that. So Linda, why don't you share with us like your thoughts on topics like that, like going through adversity and then coming out of it, and how do you deal with that kind of situation when something's not going right and you're like, how can I change my mindset?
Thank you, Linda. And that was beautiful what you said, Cheryl, too. I really agree with all that as well. I've gone through a lot of adversity, which I'm sure a lot of people that are watching have too. And I feel that when we're in the midst of that, for me, I feel it's all about growth and evolution in ourselves and finding out who we are. So things are going to come up to the surface and we're going to go through these. I went through a divorce, and how do you work your way through a divorce, right? It's finding out who you are and going back to that self-love, right? And so when all this adversity is coming to you, it's to look at, what is this showing me? What is the truth here? Like, what's really happening? And looking at it from a different perspective, right? Mm-hmm. And so, because we're going to have things that are going to come our way that is going to force us to be able to evolve or grow. And sometimes people may not really want to grow or evolve. They're content where they're at. But eventually I feel that what's going to happen is that same pattern, that same situation is going to surface. It's kind of like we take ourselves, well, I'm going to go ahead and move to a different state. That'll help me. And you move to a different state, but you have the same problems, right? Mm-hmm. Because everywhere you go, you take yourself with you. You don't leave yourself behind. So you're always with yourself. So it's to come into alignment with who are we? Right? And what is the truth in this situation? What am I learning from this? And how am I growing from this? And what is the truth here? And so I think if we can look at it from a different perspective, and it totally is, Cheryl, it's a whole mindset. It's change your thoughts, change your life. But we're so programmed by society, by our families and things like that. How do we deprogram ourselves, right? And that's constantly being, first and foremost, recognizing that you are being programmed, and awareness. So every time you have that, it's like, oh, there's that awareness of that thought that I'm having, right? And what can I do to change that thought? Is that really the truth? And then like listening to music or going out and shift that act in ourselves.
Yeah, I love that, both of your as examples. And Linda, I feel like you moved with me, because there was a point where I moved to Idaho. For 5 months, I moved to Idaho, and I got there, and it's exactly what you were explaining. Mm-hmm. And that was that when I got there, it was because I was running away from my situation. So I moved to Idaho. My husband and I, we moved to Idaho. And then when we got there, I was like, oh my God, it's the same crap. Because I was the same person. And so we came back home, and then shortly after that, though, I ended up hiring a life coach. And the life coach is, by me just like raising my hand and saying, I'm ready to change my life. Yeah. And by doing that, I took those steps to become a different person and discover who I was. And it really made the difference for me. And I realized that now I can live anywhere, because right now my husband and I, we bought an RV, and we're living literally anywhere we want. At a moment's notice, we can move. And it's awesome, because I am in such a place in my life now that I love who I am, that I can live anywhere. It doesn't matter where I am. And that reminds me of like Nelson Mandela, right? He was imprisoned for 40 years, and he still had peace about him because he had peace about him.
Yes. Yes.
So it's so beautiful when we can find who we are. Cheryl, Cheryl, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, when we let go of that baggage, we carry around all this weight and all this baggage with us. And then we wonder why we're so tired, and why we can't seem to find the joy, and where's the happiness, and where joy and happiness and that beautiful divine love live, you can't take that baggage with you. You got to drop that. We've got to let go of those issues of the past and work through, like I was saying earlier, work through those lessons and see the blessings that they brought us, because no one has done anything to us. It's being done for us.
Right. And I want to touch on that just really quickly, because I'm going to admit something out loud. I've admitted it before to other people, but when I say this, I'm sharing this, what do you call it, just in advance, because some people will be like, oh my gosh, she's so harsh. But I'm going to share with you that there are a lot of people who go through what I'm going to tell that I went through, but we aren't willing to admit it out loud because we are fearful of the judgment that other people will have on us. So what I'm going to share with you is that when my mother passed away, I had this immediate, like you talked about dropping baggage. I had this immediate feeling of relief because I had lived my life making sure that my mom was okay, making sure that my mom was taken care of. So not that she was a burden on me, because she wasn't, but it was still that heavy. It was heaviness on me that I needed to make sure that everything was okay for mom. So what happened was when my mom passed away, I felt this pressure release that now I can live my life for me. And even though it might sound harsh to people, it's the reality. And how many of us go through that and we're not willing to admit it out loud because of the perception that other people will have of us. So when I do share that with people, they're often like, oh my God, I had the same thing and I never wanted to tell anybody. So that's why I wanted to share that, because it's whatever feelings that you are having, whatever emotions you're having, they are real. They're your emotions and you're allowed to have them. And you should be proud of them because they're who you are. Whether it's negative or positive, they're real for you. So if you can figure out how to turn those negatives, so I turned that, I would share what I did, is I turned that into appreciation and thanking my mom for all the lessons that she taught me. Because if it wasn't for my mom and all the lessons I learned from her and the way I was carrying that weight myself, it wasn't her, I was carrying it. It was my fault because I chose to carry it. But once I released it, I was like, thank you so much, Mom, for all the things you've taught me. Because if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Beautiful.
That is so beautiful. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Sometimes it's hard to admit it out loud because there is that, I still have some fear of judgment, but I realize that, just me sharing truthfully, sometimes that is the thing that somebody else needs to hear, and Absolutely. It will help them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it gives other people permission, right, to be able to admit that themselves too, because it's for you. And so, and it wasn't really in a bad sense, but it was a relief that now you can go about your life. Right. So I think it's great.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for that. We have 3 minutes left. So I want to make sure we make the most of this last 3 minutes. So I'm going to ask both of you guys to share with everybody how they can find you, and then also share like vote for me kind of thing, So go ahead, Linda, you're up first.
Okay, you can find me, everybody, at Linda Summers on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, Linda Summers, Linda S. Summers, and Linda Summers 128, and boxing _ring_girl. And let's see, where else? Facebook, obviously, you can find me on Facebook. And yeah, I would love, this has been my passion, to impact humanity, be able to be on a TV show that really is bringing in these amazing guests that we can inspire, uplift, change our lives so we can change humanity. And so I would love and be honored to be a co-host on this show, doing exactly that, to bring the world back to, and not even back to, but into a world in which we all truly desire. So thank you so much, and I'm just honored to be here and doing this. And thank you, everybody who's tuning in and watching. And I would love to be the co-host for the show. Absolutely. So thank you, Linda.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll have to talk about the boxing ring thing later. that sounds interesting.
That's an interesting concept. Yes. Yes.
So the polls are going to open in just a minute. So we'll have Cheryl, tell us how we can find her. and then to letting us know why she wants to be on the show. But go to talkotuesday.tv, place your votes. The voting will be open for the next 6 days, and then we will close it after that time for this round of guests. And then next week, starting at the same time, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time, we'll have 4 other people that will be interviewed by me, so that you guys can discuss, decide who you want to have go into the next round. So Cheryl, why don't you go ahead and let us know how we can find you, and then your thing about like why you want to be on the show.
Well, thanks so much. And first of all, I'd like to say thanks, Linda, for having me on. And Linda, great to meet you. You can find me.
Great to meet you, Cheryl.
Oh, absolutely. You can find me on Facebook at Cheryl Piper Sends Love. I am all about the love. My website is cherylpiper.com. You can find me on Instagram, Cheryl Piper 123. And I also just started a Twitch account, and that's under Cheryl Piper as well. Yay! We're all learning Twitch. And so this is a whole fun new place to be. And I love what Linda is doing here. I love how inspired she is to help the world. I'm honored to be considered as a guest host for the show. I would love to be part of helping to bring peace, healing, inspiration to the world by being part of Linda's show. So thank you so much, everyone watching live, everyone watching on the replay. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So that concludes our show for today, Taco Tuesday. What we're doing for the next 7 weeks is we're doing the auditions, and I have the auditioneers. I know that's not a word, by the way. I made it up myself. I thought it was cute, so I'm using it. And maybe I'll trademark that word. I don't know. But, Taco Tuesday, again, was born out of the idea, for me, I just wanted to be able to have a talk show. I have my own show, doing it solo myself, and I interview people on that show. But I thought it would be fun to have other people co-host with me. So what I'm doing the next 7 weeks is doing the auditions. After the auditions are done, the actual official show starts January 8th of 2019. It will always be on a Tuesday from 12 to 1 Pacific time. Hoping that you guys will join us. Go place your votes right now. Go to talkotuesday.tv. And then at the end of the 6 days, I will announce the 2 people who will be going into round 2 at that time, and I hope it's you guys. I mean, it can be both of you, depending on the numbers. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. But thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you next Tuesday. This is Linda West with Living Live. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.